Welcome to our next episode of Reason with Steph. Now, this evening I'm sitting with a young man. He is currently a TikToker.
Yes.
He is an artist. What I would call it, a graphic artist. Whoa. Somebody who is a businessman, who have a business head, who have a goal, and is aiming for the highest. This evening is going to believe in encouragement, is going to believe in motivational talks with you. Is going to be doing all of that because as you know, Reason with Steph, when it comes to Reason with me, you know it's about motivation, it's about encouragement and all those things. So when we come back, you will get into the meat of the matter. Right now, you're with Reason with Steph, and I want you to do what? Remember to share. Share as much as possible, like and subscribe. And leave a comment down below now. And remember to touch the notification bell so that whenever we do a video, you will see it come straight to you. Alright? With quotes, and this one is by Michael Phelps, and it says, there will be obstacles, there will be doubters, there will be mistakes, but with hard work there are no limits. So this evening we will be talking, and we'll be talking about his life in the community that he was born and grow, where we would call it a what?
Well, to my teenage years.
Yeah.
So I was born here.
In where? Sevens Road.
Otherwise known as Farm Place.
Yes. Where it is like, they say it's what? The ghetto. But earlier when we were talking, you were telling me something that you don't consider it as being a ghetto. Tell me why you say that.
Okay, so in my perception,
yeah,
a ghetto is not necessarily a place in physical form. A ghetto is a place in a mental state.
Yes.
So despite the volatility of the area, I have always considered this place to be average, except for the stigmatism. So despite the volatility and the dangers and all that, which is not only here, to be honest with yourself, despite all that, when you can conceive that you are not in a ghetto, and tell yourself that you have equal opportunities, even when you know it's not so. When you decide that, even if it is that you may be the underdog according to everyone else,
yes,
you just decide not to fail, decide to work harder, decide to work smarter. And as I would love to listen to a quote by Johnny Wimber, average is the very top of the bottom.
Yeah, man.
And if you are average, you are at the top of the bottom with everyone else with you at the bottom. So if you work in average portions, if you do in average portions, you will reap in average results.
Very good. I like that one.
Yes.
I like that one, and it brings us back to what I started with here, where it says there will be what? Doubters. There will be obstacles. There will be mistakes. But with hard work, there are no limit.
Exactly.
No limit at all, you don't have, you know.
Exactly.
So you're always aiming for the higher. So tell me about some of those achievements in aiming higher. And I like what you say about living in an area where they stigmatize it as being a ghetto. But in your mind, you are not living in a ghetto because of how you perceive and how you operate and how you make yourself to know that where you are living actually in an uptown area. Yeah, man.
Exactly.
That we looking.
So, looking into it, I was born here. I left at an early age, returned within entering my teenage years.
Yeah.
From there to about mid-teens, where I left once again. I grew up in a poor home. That is a fact. With 6 siblings, a single mother, and a father who we only hear from over the phone in most cases. Occasionally we get to visit. And despite all that, what I did, I learned from my older siblings. A lot of their mistakes I did not make my own mistake. I learned from their mistakes instead of making the same mistake. And going on from there, I did make mistakes because I'm not a perfect person. I didn't even finish high school. Didn't finish high school due to various reasons. And from there, instead of giving up, I worked my first job immediately after leaving high school. And I worked as a photographer. Part-time from there, I worked within a shipping company owned by, at the time, the Dean of Discipline for Maritime Institute.
Okay.
So during this time space, I had 2 jobs, one by day, one by night. From there on.
So you are telling young people now that even though you did not finish school, you still aim for something.
Still aim for something.
That will make your life worthwhile. That will make your life worth living.
Exactly.
Continue, man. I love this story.
From there, I continued in photography, which was my first job. That's the night job. After my ending of experience in the shipping with the Dean of Discipline for Maritime at the time, as I stated, was a bit changing. It changed my perception, it changed my experience, because whilst doing the shipping, I got to travel all over the country as well as I did with the photography.
Yes.
And this opened my mind to a certain degree that I wanted to see more and know more. From there on, I went to another photography company where I was even offered the opportunity to manage this small business. It was owned by a friend of mine, a few years older, in his early to mid-20s. And from there, I went back to school, got a certification at Distinction College in the field of security. From there on to moving from all the way in Kingston, where I went to get certified, to all the way in Westmoreland, where I've never been before, to get employment.
And was it a struggle there?
Honestly, much of this sounds easy, but it had struggles. I had assistance in some sense. In some cases, a lot. In other cases, it was just will and prayer.
Will of God.
Will and prayer.
So you can say in some instances, there is where you come to the moment where you talk to God.
I was always a praying person. A lot of people didn't really understand me because many times I was misunderstood due to the fact that some people become skeptics and judge you based on where you are from instead of who you are.
Wow.
So instead of getting to know you, they choose to just have their own perception before even having any facts to support. I experienced a lot of that. Many people don't even know I come from here based on how I articulate myself and as well as how I've associated myself.
So you try to associate yourself with the great, with the progressive persons, with persons who are looking forward and not with those who really perceive in their mind that they are living in the ghetto and they have to do the things that the people feel like ghetto do.
Exactly. So, as I said, the ghetto is mental, and I am not saying that there isn't struggle, there isn't trauma, there isn't hunger, there isn't the reality of ghetto, what we call the ghetto. But the biggest part of it where we end up becoming an hindrance to ourselves is thinking that this physical determines everything. It may be the momentary reality that you can't afford. It may be the momentary situation that you don't have or you don't know. But as I would believe, the more you know, the more you have. So I've always been a reading person. I've always been the kind of person to study look deeper, and I've always loved business. Unfortunately, I didn't get to complete my business area of study in high school where my teacher wished for me to complete, because I had a teacher who was very, very, very hands-on with me in the area of introduction to business, like in the subject of principle of business.
Principle of business.
And that was one of my best subjects leaving high school, because I
So
would have missed most classes.
yeah, you're saying to me that your business sense is coming from the high school days with a teacher who would mold you, who would nurture you, who would drive you in the direction of doing business, principle of business in school.
That is correct.
And some of some of what you learned then, you bring it with you now to the business which you are now doing.
So that is a huge factor, because I have to give a lot of credit. That's what struck me in a sense to get deeper into the terminologies and so on. But another reality was that I had to hustle. I had to hustle day in, day out sometimes to help with the lunch money and the going to school and the caring for myself at a certain point. Because my mother never have it. My mother never have it.
Straight up.
But she tried.
And a lot of us, we live in a home where parents, we know our parents that they don't have it. But we didn't just sit and we didn't just say, all right, mommy, no have no lunch money for me to go to school, so me now go. You try to find some way in which you push yourself and find little lunch money where you could go to school.
Yes.
Were there days when you never have anything to eat at school though?
Many days. And thankfully, at some point, I had very good friends.
Yeah.
Because I remember from the earlier days, even before high school, I had points where I was called Nutri Boy. Because I didn't love me Nutri Boy. Plus, much case I alone I could have afford, because one woman said she don't have no money.
So you couldn't eat the big box food and the patty as a young youth, and the chocolate milk and the eggnog and them things that were young people them love.
That was not available.
But yet still, we are saying all of this to let you as young people know that yet still, despite all the odds, despite all the struggle, this young man sitting beside me here come out to be something, and is moving among those who we would consider the great, because as soon as you try to step and take a step, and you take a next step and you take a next step into the direction that you want to go, you will achieve. When we come back, you'll hear some more. Welcome back. Now you're going to hear about him being an ambassador for NCB and other entities, to know how this young man is going places and his business. Because remember, I tell you now that he's a businessman. So let me hear now about the ambassador for NCB.
So currently I am an ambassador for NCB Foundation, as they have provided me with the relevant support in completing my course as a social media marketing personnel with the I Create Institute of Jamaica.
Okay.
So I recently completed the studies for entry-level certification in social media marketing due to NCB becoming a sponsor for over 3,000 people, and I was included in that 3,000 in last month to this month. So as it was, I wasn't even certain. I only saw the opportunity on social media whilst scrolling through my business page on Instagram, and signed up. After signing up,
Alright, this is because I am really living up close to the road, and when the vehicle passes, especially the bike, it will make some noise in this video. But I am so sorry about that. But we are going to continue. So it's telling us about his NCB ambassadorial role now.
So as it is, I received the sponsorship from NCB to complete the certification in social media marketing at an entry level. And how I got the opportunity was I was on the business page as stated, looking through stories when I saw the ad and I clicked on it and signed up, and eventually they reached out to me and stated that I was accepted for the scholarship, or in this place a grant.
Yeah.
Right? And from there on I completed the course which I am now certified for social media marketing, and I really didn't expect it. I just randomly attempted it, but sometimes we tend to believe that opportunities are not for us because it looks like something.
It's true, you know. If you had listened to my first episode on this show, I tell you about applying for a scholarship at an old age and thinking that I would not get it. And I was hesitant to do it, but eventually I got the scholarship. So it is telling us that we must not think low of ourselves. We must always think highly of ourselves and think that we can get things at all times.
And funny, this scholarship was one of two, because the first one I had attempted was one for an international school, which is the Trebas Institute in Montreal, Canada. So I attempted in the same manner and was contacted, but unfortunately, despite this scholarship being valued at 10,000 Canadian dollars, I could not attempt it due to the fact that there was still an outstanding amount of 18,000 Canadian. So I thought, oh, this opportunity was going to pass me by and I would not have any more opportunities like this. And honestly, it was a similar era because it was a diploma.
So you eventually turned down one, but God has opened door for a next one. Exactly. to fall in your hands.
Exactly.
Okay. You tell me something about Sanders.
Yes, after leaving Kingston to Westmoreland, I went to Guardsman Limited and did 8 months there. I was recommended for a supervisory position, and during this time I went on from Guardsman to Sanders Resort, where I once again worked as a photographer, which it was a very lovely experience. However, I gained a lot of input from reading, because I'm always a reader, and I read a few books from Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
Like Rich Dad Poor Dad, The Go Giver, alongside a few other books from a few other authors as well as himself. And eventually I just walked off that job, which was about the first time I ever did something like that. And I came back here, hustled in the streets for some time, went on to working alongside my brother in his business, and I did technician work, repairing cell phones, laptops, and so on. And from there to owning my small business, which was started at just a small $80,000, and I have maybe over almost
$80,000.
Yes.
Yes, we say small, but to some persons it would be big, but $80,000 is really small. Very, very small. Can't do anything. Because if you want to go to the supermarket to buy anything now, and you carry at least $20,000, you can't buy half of what you want, you know. So $80,000 is really small to start a business. But this young man used what? $80,000 to start a business. And I think he has multiple camera and multiple equipment now that he used. Because here I have with me is one of his shirts that I am going to be showing. Yes. Tell me about this design and your business. See? So he does t-shirt, he does printing for t-shirt. I think the shirt that he has on right now here. You can see our next design. The motorbikes again. You can see a next design here, and he does other design that you will be seeing on his TikTok
as well as
channel as well as Instagram. Alright? And you can contact him, you know, for for him to do your t-shirts and only t-shirts you do, don't tell them about the other things that you do.
Alright, so about the design as you was asked,
Yes.
this design is actually my logo.
Okay.
So this is my logo in a colorized form. This is my logo in regular black
and white
vinyl print. So
so your logo is exotic
branding.
branding.
So that's the name of my company. That's the registered company name.
Yeah.
And why I chose exotic branding, I thought to myself this would be something of a different nature from what most people would see. Instead of having the average corporate view, I sometimes incorporate different perspectives. It's not always the corporate view. It's sometimes a family view, a lifestyle view. I don't always try to go from the singular perspective. I try to keep a rounded perspective. Alongside t-shirt printing, I also do prints for hats, cups, plates, water bottles. I do like car vinyl stickers, as well as graphics design. So I do like graphic ads for events, for business functions, generalized graphics design. And I've been doing all of this alongside a single friend who's helped with a lot of the work. And we both have done a lot of work in getting this to where it is now.
Alright. You can find Mr. Williams on TikTok, on Instagram, and we're going to be giving you a WhatsApp number too, where you can go, you can call him. So your Instagram.
Okay, so for Instagram, you can find us at exotic.branding. That's EXOTIC.branding, as well as exotic_captures. CAPTURES. For TikTok, it's exotic.branding as well. And for WhatsApp, the WhatsApp business number is 821-5442. So that's 1876-821-5442. Yes. So as I was saying, I've always had the unorthodox, not always corporate, sometimes family branded, sometimes just a slight difference from the day-to-day corporate. And it works because I've done jobs for even international clients, such as, well, also a friend of mine who in March recently had an event in Panama Beach, Florida with local celebrities such as Massacre performing, and it was a huge success for him, as well as the logo being placed out there on his behalf and as a result of our work, because Nicholas, my next friend who works alongside me, was the one who did that job, and I was extremely proud. Still, I'm extremely proud in saying Nicholas McLean. Yes, because.
So what can you know? Because we are wrapping up, and I want you to look in the camera now and tell some young man out there, encourage some young man out there.
Alright, so the first thing I would like to say, people will judge. People will forever judge. An opinion everyone possesses doesn't mean it's always right. People will think, talk, people will even try to stop you from going forward. A lot of that. But if you don't try, it cannot happen. If you don't believe, no one else will. If you don't work, your ideas won't work. Because a lot of this sounds like it just ended up happening. It's been hunger, sleepless nights, hard work, confusion, stress, losing of friends, losing of spousal relationships.
It's true,
yes,
because sometimes a lady might have say you neglect them.
Exactly.
Okay.
And all of this, it happens. And don't get me wrong, we tend to really blame one thing or another for the outcome. The first part of your outcome is you. So despite whoever has input, you are the first input and the last input outside of God. Because if God doesn't affirm, there is no truth.
Yeah. So in everything we have put God first.
That is one of my sole beliefs.
Put him first.
I actually pray every morning as I wake up, despite not being a Christian. Every evening after going home, despite not being a Christian, because one thing I know for sure, if I pray before I work and I work, there is some way that it will manifest. There has been ways, there have been inexplicable situations where I have gotten so much help. And at this point, I can say I have a lot of people to give thanks to. But first of all and foremost, I have to give thanks to the Father and pray.
Yeah. Yes. And I love that. I love that about a young man putting God first. How many young people, how many young men you would find now who tell you that they put God first despite the fact that he's not a Christian, he's not going to church, but yet still he gets up in the morning and he prays. This evening as we close, I want to say to you, shoot for the moon, and if you fail, you will fall among the stars.
That's correct.
Yes, shoot for the moon, and if you fall, you fail, you'll fall among the stars. So you will always be a what?
Star.
You will always be a what?
Star.
You will always be a what?
You will be a star.
Star. Alright? Walk good.